Ancient mass graves containing dozens or hundreds of bodies are both unsettling and oddly intriguing, but there's something particularly eerie about ones containing the remains of murdered children with mutilated teeth, cracked craniums, and eerily intertwined skeletons like those uncovered at a 2,400-plus-year-old grave recently unearthed in suburban Mexico City. The Tlalpan site dates back to the Mayan pre-classic period that began before 1000 BC and lasted to around 250 AD. The area around Mexico City may have been inhabited for more than 500 years before the 10 Tlalpan children were sacrificed and buried, and though it wasn't the first grave discovered in the area, it is the only one in which so many deceased were buried together. Of the 10 remains found, 8 are young adults or teenagers, 1 was a child, probably between 3 and 5, and the other was an infant, just a month or 2 old. Though the children were buried with bowls, pots, and cookware to aid them in their journey through the afterlife, it must have been a small consolation because their bones showed signs of severe trauma associated with ritualistic sacrifice by knife. The discovery was made by experts from Mexico's National Institute of Anthropology on the grounds of a prominent local university just 5 feet, 1.5 meters below the floor of a well-used lecture hall. The grave is also unique in that the children's bones were situated in a spiral pattern that has archaeologists and historians scratching their heads. In addition, their bodies were linked, so forearm bones were placed under the spines of those buried on either side of them. Although Mayan culture is shrouded in myth, lore, and unanswered questions, it's well known that they were terrified of death and believed that it was caused by souls being stolen by evil spirits that resided in an infernal underworld. They also believed that the body and soul were bound at birth and that only death could separate them permanently. Mayans may have spent large portions of each day worshipping, and they apparently saw child sacrifice as a way to appease the fickle gods who lorded over everything from the weather and human fertility to war and crops. As they saw it, without these sacrifices, nothing stood between them and total destruction in a harsh world that they struggled to understand and over which they had little control. Researchers are confident that finds like Tlalpan will eventually shed more light on the complex and misunderstood culture in which ghoulish death rituals like those portrayed in Mel Gibson's Apocalypto were relatively common.